All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to Single Directory Components. I thought of a different title, but I kept changing it, so it might have something different on the website. But the short and long of it is we're going to be talking about Single Directory Components. My name is Mark Casias. I'm a Drupal tech lead / community developer at Canopy Studios. I've been in Drupal for quite some time. I maintain the Smart Trim module. If you need me on Twitter, I'm Drunken Drupal. Although who does Twitter or whatever it's called anymore? Like I said, I work for Canopy Studios. We're looking for some contract developers. Great company, 100% remote, really small. They're actually taking all of us to Cancun this October as a company retreat, the entire team. So come work with us. It's a lot of fun. I'm also in a band called the Randomatics. If you happen to be in the Albuquerque area next Saturday, you should go see my band. And the reason that you should be in the Albuquerque area is Decouple Days is actually happening on the 16th and 17th, the 17th and 18th. And what that is that's all about decoupled architecture. It's not just Drupal. It's basically the whole idea of the Jamstack, which apparently is a phrase that is dead now, which I did not know. But anyway, that's going to be in Albuquerque. It's going to be the first time we've done it in Albuquerque. So if you're not doing anything in a couple weeks, please feel free to come on out. Also, I'm part of a thing called Alley Talks, where we once a month online talk about accessibility. In August coming up, we have this benchmark your accessibility with usability tests and accessibility usability scale. That's a mouthful. It's going to be a panel talk, and that's going to be happening on the 17th as well. So while you're at Decouple Days, you can also watch that. Or, just watch that, your choice. This is an obligatory picture of my dog, Drew. So there she is. Now, when I wanted to do this talk, this is a talk. Mike Herschel is one of the main developers for Single Directory Components. He wrote this really, really nice blog post about it, on Herschel.com. And then at DrupalCon Pittsburgh, he did a really great talk about it and said, anybody who wants to give this talk, let me know. I'll get you my slides. And then, so I reached out. I actually did the exact same description as his DrupalCon Pittsburgh show thing. And I'm like, hey, Mike, can I get your slides? And that's what I got back. So I am winging it. I'm going to make my very own presentation of that. So if it's not as great as Herschel's, I'm sorry. When it's better than Herschel's, now we know why. Anyway, let's do a quick overview of what Single Directory Components are. This is what this site here is the actual documentation for Single Directory Components. It is a really great documentation. That is definitely one thing that they got right on this. There's a lot of good points, a lot of good helpers on there. What it is, it's part of Drupal 10.1. It's an experimental module. It is only in Drupal 10.1, and I will bring up the reasons why that's going to be some people's pain points later, but as of right now, it's fine. What it is again, like it says very clearly, single directory for all your component needs. All you need are these two things. You just need your twig of your component, and you just need your component YAML file, which defines the actual component themselves. And we'll get more into that. You can also have your CSS directly in there, your Sass in there, and your JavaScript in there directly, all in one single folder. Now we say is it one folder, it actually can be done much like your atomic design, where you have your atoms, your molecules, your organisms. That's not really the point. It's not just one place and you only get one component. The point is that you can actually break it down as much as you need, but it has to be in that components directory for this to work for you. What is in a single directory component? Like I said, there's a text.component.yaml, which is a JSON schema file, which defines the properties of it, and then also has a little metadata for you to help on there. Your twig, which obviously you need twig to render any thing out there. your CSS, and I just realized I copied this exact same slide twice. So yeah, I just went over that. And then also what not appearing in this picture is JavaScript. And during the demo, I'll show you how that works as well. You'll notice they're all named the same thing: text.css, text.twig, text.component.yaml file, text folder. That's very key in this. If you have something different, it doesn't really work. One of the good things about single directory components, go back. So one of the good things about single directory components is it gets rid of the need for a libraries.yaml file. So all your stuff is in one place. You don't have to go looking for it. You don't have your JavaScript in your source, dist, name of the file. It is just in the folder with your component as well. Like I said, we had the schema.org. The schema is this JSON.org, JSON schema file. It has a little name. The status can be experimental, stable, deprecated. You can actually attach things to them. That's for future developers when they can lay out what the components are that are available to you. You have your group, where much like you group your modules on there. And then you have your props. Now, one thing that the documentation says at the beginning is it says that all this stuff is optional, and that is a lie. And I'll go into why later. Some of the benefits, I'm just going to read this off. One, like I said, is the organization of your components. You can have them all in a single folder. You don't have to go looking for where the JavaScript is, where the build is. Your SaaS, you can build it right into the same directory. You don't have to worry about offing it anywhere else. It automatically picks it up and throws it in there. Your library creation, like I said, you no longer need to create your library file or your libraries.yaml in your theme or even in your module anymore. It actually is done there already. Components can be reused. You can use call components inside components, much like atomic design, where you have your atoms, your molecules, and all the other things in there. And you can use it because they're a single area in there. Consistency. Once you start using component, and people always fight this on me, at least developers, when I tell them to do it, is to use atomic design. You can be consistent about how things are done, and that way things aren't all over the place and things aren't being in a weird state. People could actually use twig files as they're supposed to be used, not extended like they want to be used in Drupal. Right now, pretty much you can extend any single template file in Drupal, but that's not really what the point of a component is. The component is going to be your final piece of the puzzle there. Scalability, you can use them multiple times. You can extend them all you want. Testing, you can add tests on there. If you're using something like Backstop.js and Storybook, you can actually test any changes on your components and make sure that they're actually what you want. And then collaborations, you can throw them all over the place and let everybody else use them on there. One of the other things that they do is because of the text.yaml or component.yaml.file is it allows you to actually define things where it can actually define fields for you. For in Layout Builder, you can actually define what fields you're going to actually have in the component.yaml file. You don't have to go through the fields UI to build it. And this is a really good talk. I always want to call him Justin, but that's not his name. Kyle gave this talk in Asheville. He also gave it in DrupalCon, where he actually takes the files and then creates a component and then creates a block and then throws it in Layout Builder. Doesn't have to deal with anything but his JSON file. It's really, really cool, and I recommend watching this thing. The video of it is available online at DrupalCamp as well. There are a lot of really good helper modules. Mateo and Mike Herschel did a lot of good work, and there was one other person, I can't remember her name. Now I feel bad. There's the component generator, which actually will generate your components for you. The component server, which is a really good way to package your servers using Storybook. And I was going to go into that more, but I broke something and I didn't have time to try to fix it. So that's not going to happen. We got Devil, as you know, if you want to troubleshoot things. There's editorials, there's UI patterns, which is a bigger schema for Layout Builder and all sorts of things. What's really funny is that not appearing in this picture is paragraphs, which actually I like using a lot, but everybody's moving towards Layout Builder, which makes it everything more blocks. We got thumbs up in the room for those online, which is probably, well, whoever's watching anyway. But it's really nice that we actually can have some UI patterns in Drupal defined for Drupal as well. So these helper modules are available in that documentation I was talking about earlier. So if you want to check that out, go ahead. I'm really good at slides. Live demo time. That's actually what I wanted to do. So what I'm going to do in this live demo is I'm going to take Smart Trim. One of the things we did with the latest release is we actually created a template file because we were tired of people asking us, oh, can you configure it so that it has a specific class? The more link has a specific class, and then it actually says this you can actually tell it to say this every time. So we made a template file. So okay, go do your template file. And what I want to do with this demo is I'm going to convert that into a component so that it can be used for Smart Trim component, and then I'm going to convert it into a component, show how the different pieces and whatnot, and then also show how you can use it in your own theme and extend it to change it for your own stuff. That's the goal. Here we go. So let's get out of this. Is this still recording? Yay, it is. Oh, we have 4 people online. Hi, everybody. Let's get out of that. All right, let's see. So what I have here is we'll start off with this Drupal 10 site. This is just locally in DDev. It's 10.1.2, so we definitely have the right version. I forget if I've already installed components in here or not, but we can go into that. A couple of points I wanted to point out. There are some really cool things in there. Here's the home page, by the way. This is already set. It already has data in there, right? Where I just have the Smart Trim stuff in there, and everything's going really well. But what I wanted to point out is if you go to now in 10.1, if you go into your development and development settings, normally you'd have to go into your development YAML file and services and turn on Twig debug and all that stuff. Well, now you can actually just click that button and you can actually have a debug and dump and everything available to you. Save your settings, and then when you go back, without having to do anything as you inspect this, go away. You see that it didn't work. Awesome.
Was that just a Drupal 10 new feature?
10.1. Yeah, it's a new feature in 10.1. Great. Thanks, everybody, for that. Your first live demo hiccup of this minute. So okay, let's see if it works now. Yep. Keep calm, clear cache. So as you can see, this actually, this section here actually has its own little theme file. It's in modules, contrib, smart trim, and whatnot. And basically all it does is paragraph. I didn't really want to do anything fancy with this. And if you take a look at it, the smart trim twig, what we have here is what we're expecting in there. We've documented it in here so that, we have the output, the actual trim text out of the output. We have a wrap output. If true, it'll be wrapped into a div, which we're getting rid of because it's silly. We're going to wrap it in a div in the template file if we're going to wrap it in a div. So whatever. We have a special class in the settings, which we can set ourselves now in the template file. So that's going to go away. Whether or not there's a more link, it's actually a render array for the more link to go to, like every other more link in the world. It goes to the content. And then a couple more things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new template file out of this. So what we need to do is we put it all in the components folder. And then we're going to call this component Smart Trim, SMARTTRIM, and that's a folder as well. And then I'm going to just start with the smart trim.component.yaml file, create that. there's what that is. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this twig file and copy everything into my component file because I'm lazy. So we're going to create a new file here, smart trim.twig, and we're just going to paste that in there. And that's all that there is to that. Now, save that. A couple of things I wanted to double check here. Probably should have checked this first. Is if we go to extend, get rid of that real quick, and then look for components. Yeah, single directory components is installed. Good, because I wanted to double check that because I knew that if I didn't and I did this, it wouldn't work and I'd be confused by that anyway. So one thing I want to, in the documentation here, we have something called an annotated example component.yaml file. And this is great because it has all the things that you need to know. It has the schema, it has the name, but the one thing that it says is this is optional. Everything in this file is optional. That's not. You need definitely a few things on there. Specifically, you need the schema thing. So we're going to copy that.
That's always the same.
Yep, this is always the same without the X. And what's great about that is after that you can say name or a name, and we'll call it smart trim, the human readable name. And we're going to give it in a group, call it fields because it's a field formatter, let's say. And the status is stable. Anyway, but the one thing that they talk about here is the props. Now, props are very important, and it says it's optional, but if you don't put in your props, it's going to break. And so you definitely want to start with properties. Now we know what our properties are going to be because it's inside the twig here. We know we're going to have an output. That's going to be some text. Wrap output we're going to ignore. Wrapper class we're going to ignore. We're going to have more, which is the render array, which we kind of want to do. So we're going to want to have that as a prop. So we're going to create these. So props, and it's a type of object. And that's all you need for that. And then the next thing you want to say is inside your props, you have your properties. Right? So the first one we're going to have is the output. And that's going to be a type of string, I believe. And as long as you have at least one, you can stop. But we're going to go on just because. We're going to have the more link. And that's going to be a type of array because it's a render array. And you can actually add things like name or link so that you can actually describe things a little bit better. So yeah, he types, and then you can actually define them even more, make it more strict as to what it's going to accept. This is all the annotated stuff on there. One thing I'm going to get into later is another thing you can define are slots. If you're familiar with Twig, Twig has a concept of blocks. Same thing, slots, blocks. The only difference is these are defined as slots. And we could define a slot of the body. And the difference between that is, I'll go into that later. So a couple other things that it does have here and that I'll go over later as well is that whether it replaces it, if you are extending a mod or a component, you're going to want to replace the original, and this helps you do that. It also has some libraries in there. Like I said, if you have your libraries all in the one folder, it'll work. But if you have to extend other libraries, you can actually do that as well. It says there's a minimal example where you just say null, where you keep it null. A lot of great stuff in there. And if you want more information on the schema and whatnot, this is your page for there. So now I have this smart trim component. What does that mean?
The properties go inside the props.
Correct. Oh, hey, good catch.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
This is my first time.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay,
So,
cool.
so now if we go to the website here and we extend it or go back to the home page, you're going to notice nothing because we have not actually told it to use the component yet. So what we need to do is actually go to the template twig.this guy. And what we're going to do is there's two things that you can do. You can include, not that, it's the, no? Percent, thank you. Include, and the name of it is Smart Trim, because it's your module name and then the name of the component itself. The other thing that you can do is you can add stuff in there. But I'm not going to do that yet because this is probably going to break. And while we set everything to null, even though the cache is not caching the changes in the HTML and stuff like that, it still has no idea that this is here. So you're going to want to clear your cache when you add a file. So DCR. I have a shortcut, an alias on mine, so when I do ddev drush, instead of, it saves me a whole 2 keystrokes and life's good.
I have exact same thing.
Yeah. So now when we refresh, did it work? So we go here, inspect, and yes, it did, which is neat because you can actually see one of the other cool things that they did is if you take a look at what the component start looks like, they actually add this really neat little favicon on there so that you can actually see that that's where the component starts, that's where the component ends. And then if there's another one, which there should be another one.
What is that? Looks like
Yeah, I can't tell what it is. Yeah, okay, yeah. And it's completely random. So if you have multiple components, that icon's going to be different. So if you use a component inside a component, it changes it. All right. So you'll notice that I have text content and all this stuff in there, and that's because that's inside this, and not info.yaml, go away. I wanted to go into the smart trim. Where's the library? Where the hell is the library? Well, okay, never mind then. You'll notice that we do have no CSS in there, but so what I can do is let's make a quick change to the smart trim in here. Instead of having the wrapper output true and all that stuff, we're just going to do this portion here, the div class equals wrapper class, which we don't have defined, and output. Now we could also do where we do something like this, set, no, percent, I keep messing that. Set classes equals wrapper, or not so smart trim, right? And then we'll put that into an array because we like arrays. And then we can actually do, let's just do it in a string because we're not doing it in attributes. So then instead of doing wrapper class, we're going to do classes, right? So now we have classes, we refresh the page, we re-inspect that, and it didn't do anything. Why didn't it do anything? Clear the cache? Even though it shouldn't be building that? All right, let's see. Inspect. Yeah, so now we have the div of that. So we actually have the smart trim class with the paragraph inside of it, but you notice that there's not really anything defining what it's going to look like. So, well, what we can do is we're going to add a new file, smart trim.css. We're going to do .smart trim, and we're going to say background color.
Yeah, and in the twig, it's just the RM.
Thank you. Thanks for that, because that will. So we're going to call this background color blue, and then color white. All right, and then we're going to clear the cache because we've been having to clear the cache anyway. Makes our lives easier. And now, without further ado, that just picked up the CSS and changed it for you. So you didn't have to do anything other than that, which just makes it easier to take care of everything. If we wanted to add a JavaScript file, say here we're going to add a new file, smart trim.js.
Those files all need to.
Yes, they all have to be the same name, exactly. And it's funny because I was trying to change something to a text component for something into a single directory component, and the text CSS was text block, and couldn't figure out why. But anyway, so we're gonna just do console log I, and we're gonna clear the caches.
You don't need all the normal like JavaScript nonsense that Drupal wants.
No, well, unless you want to use that nonsense. If you want to have it react with the Drupal sphere, you can. But all in all, it just is going to run JavaScript for you. So, which is great. I mean, I'm not saying don't use the Drupal, especially if you're passing variables and whatnot through there. It's obviously very useful. All right. So let's see. Did that. Let me make a quick change here. And we're going to, in my structure of my articles, so if we're taking a look at the display of articles, the teaser display, this is where the smart trim comes in. And we do have a more link, and everything is supposed to be in there. So why is the more link not showing? More link's not showing. Why? Oh, because I did delete it, didn't I? This is where we can actually get into the intricacies of making a slot, where we'll do slots. And we'll name it more. And we'll name it more link, sure. Type is, actually, no, I'm not going to do that yet. But I can actually go here, and then inside the div, we have the output, and then we'll have another div, class equals smart trim more, and then more link, right? Just more, you're right. So actually I should change that in component.yaml just in case. And then close the div. All right. And we refresh. Well, then we clear cache. Then we refresh. Then an unexpected error occurred.
Live demos.
Let's see here.
Maybe it was Morley, but maybe it was that.
And more invalid, a null value found, but an array or an object is required. You know what I'm going to do? To make my life easier, really only need one property just to make them happy. So this is cheating a little bit. Don't do this at home, kids. Go back to the thing. Yeah, okay. But there's still no more link. Oh yeah, there it is. Oh, because there's a with Smart Trim, if you don't trim anything, there's no more to show, so we don't actually do that. I actually hate that feature because sometimes people want to go to the full page anyway to see it. Anyway,
Does that mean that the type is like null or array?
yeah, that's a good point. I could probably.
Or should like Smart Trim be generating an empty array at all times bare minimum?
That's actually what I want. Where I want to go is to have Smart Trim, because, like I said, I think that, you know, if they're going to show the more link, even if it's trimmed, there might be an image on the actual article that's not shown if you don't get it. So anyway, so this is all very, very horrible, as you can tell. But now we can go into the Smart Trim CSS and actually go Smart Trim more link. And then, well, first put a period in front of it because it's a class, not a. And then say background white, color blue. Where the cache goes. I like that. Yeah, look into that. But anyway, but we're running low on time, so I want to do one more thing. And why didn't?
Was it just more or more?
Yeah. Oh, it was just more link. So Smart Trim more, and then class more link. So let's actually just do class more link, because that's really all we care about. Now, all this cache building is irritating me, so I'm going to go to configuration and development and performance. And it is off. Development settings. Do not cache markup. There we go. Anyway. So there we have the more link, exactly what we want. So the next thing I wanted to show was how to extend this on your own custom theme. And I'm going to do this real easily by doing a drush generate theme, theme. Drush generate theme. Oh wait, td drush td and theme. Thank you. And let's call the theme monkey. Base theme Claro. That's fine. That's fine. No. There we go. Now we have a brand new happy theme, right? Refresh. Theme's funky. Why are you not showing me my theme here? I'm trying to show you something and you're not letting me. Oh, for frack.
Generated theme.
Well, let's see.
remotely somewhere.
Yeah, maybe. Let's take a look. Let's go into appearance. And we have the monkey theme. So we can install and set as default, which is fine. And then we go back to the site. And now we have this. All right. Which is fine. And we're still, if you take a look at this, it's no longer smart trimming. It's no longer doing anything. Oh no, it is still smart trimming. Never mind. We still have our component, and it is the proper one. So now what we want to do is obviously close VS Code because it doesn't want to work with us. And then we're going to go, where's this? Oh, thank you. Thank you for being in the way. Let's open recent Drupal 10. Still no themes. Where the hell did it put it? Huh?
Did it go into core themes?
No.
Where else could it be?
Yeah, it showed up in Drupal.
Right. Let's
Oh
see.
wait, there's another theme directory. Oh wait,
That was it. Sites. Default? No.
Yeah, yeah.
Weird.
All right.
Oh, wait. Can you see the up level real quick? For that.
Monkey dot theme. Oh wait, that's searching for the. This is weird, dudes.
So over in your terminal real quick, can
Yeah.
you see the upper level? Yeah, and then do like what? Rep dash capital R space monkey info YAML space star. It should just should just go through what, which it did. And okay, well, can you just do du-a real quick? I think that's right. Du-a. Yeah. All right. Du-a, and then do the pipe to grep.
Pep dash R monkey.
I think you can just grep it. Yeah.
Oh, let's just grab.
I don't know where it is.
Yeah, so this is why we do live demos. And what sucks is the old terminal actually listed out where it was done there. So let's try this again. Sure, why not? Generate theme again. Fred. Themed Fred. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I think I know what's going on. So my mutagen is obviously not working.
Oh, it's your mutagen. Yeah. Okay.
Because now if I go to web themes, there's going to be cd web themes. Let's There's Fred and Monkey. There you go. Okay, so we're gonna let's put CD into Monkey. Sure, we'll do this the hard way. CD into Monkey. Yeah. And then let's CP dash R dot slash modules. Oh, that's too far. Modules contrib smart component. Oh, yeah. All right, so now I actually have, if you take a look in here, we have our components folder. So let's go ahead and, I hate VI with a passion, but I'm gonna have to VI. Components, smart trim, and now I'm just doing this smart trim dot component dot YAML, and this is where we're going to have to put in overrides smart trim smart trim. All right. Now, crap, that's why I need to learn how to read. You're right. Before we see R, let's do that. Thank you. And then the other thing I wanted to do was VI, instead of the smart component.yaml, let's VI the CSS. And instead, we're going to make this background orange. Yeah, thank you. And we've already cleared cache. So the moment of truth, and it's perfect because we're about to finish. You know, and so that's all you have to. And it's a new icon too. Yeah, exactly. Yay, that worked. I'm so happy for me. Anyway, so that's the great thing about it is that you can just, all you have to do is copy that component folder over and then make your changes and make sure that you know it's overrides. You don't have to go mucking about with template files trying to do anything like that. Since we already know what the structure is, or, you know, if I was better with the structure on there to put that in there or not, we could actually define all the things that you want, and then you can change your slots around. You can move it. If I could actually just do my drag and drop where I'm more comfortable, I would have moved the more link to the front of that, and that would have been the difference. So that's the difference. I really wish I had time. Is there any questions really quick?
So this isn't a replacement for templates at all?
No, it is a way to extend templates.
Well, it's really like
It's more of
building
a,
the template so that all you have is an input sitting in there, and then like your twig is controlled somewhere else, but we're not changing out Drupal's template layer at all.
correct.
Which means that things like suggestions have no application to it at all.
Correct. But then also you don't have to mess around with suggestions to create a new random template file and searching for the original template file as well, which makes it a lot easier in that case. So.
We alluded to this in the beginning, and I wasn't here, I apologize, but what would be defined as a component? I think that's kind of also philosophical.
So yeah, that's what is a component? A component to me is the end output of the HTML. whether it's just a button or whether it's an array of components that are stuck together that are called off on there. If you look at the Emulsify, they do a really good job with atomic design and creating components that feed off of each other. It's a really great place to start to look at it. Because then you have the web components, which are their own objects, where you're not even saying div, you're saying monkey at that point,
Yeah.
So and then passing the properties that way.
Yeah.
So
Because components can also mean something different to like a design team as well.
correct.
So-
And that's one of the things that components are trying to do is have a component and then have a representation of that in the website without having to mess everything around as well.
So you mentioned that you thought about doing a storybook demo, but it didn't work out. Can you just give me a brief description on how you went about?
So the way that I tried to do it, so there are two ways. One, there is the storybook module or the CL server, which actually has really good instructions on how to get storybook running. It's using a specific twig library that Lullabot created, which works really well. On the other side, Emulsify does kind of the same thing with a custom twig library that Four Kitchens wrote. Fight! Anyway, but I tried actually just doing a straight storybook twig or storybook HTML, because storybook out of the box doesn't really support twig. It supports HTML, and then you have a preprocessor that does the twig that compiles the twig, and it's JS twig instead of PHP twig, which makes it a little bit more difficult, and then you get some breaks and whatnot. I really like Storybook as a component library. There's a place that's actually using a new one, and I can never remember what it's called for their component library. There are multiple ones. There's Pattern Lab as well. But I've been liking Storybook because it's the most robust one and the one that's been kept up the most. So I just basically did an npx install Storybook HTML or SB init HTML. Then I added the twig compiler, and then tried to run it, and it said no. But basically what you're going to want to do in this is, if you're going to want to add your storybook, you're going to want to, in your template file, which I'll show you the template file we can see, not the one that we can't see. Wait, am I in core? I'm in core. Don't do that. There we go. In your component folder, what you would do is you would create a new file called smarttrim.stories.js, and then you would import trim import from, you would name it import twig from smart trim.twig. If you had an info file, you would import data from smart trim data.yaml, and this is just your data for the storybook component, because you need that. And I just realized that I want twig, not that. Okay, and then you'd export default, because this is what the storybook's going to be looking for. Default, and then title smart trim, and then that would create your storybook path. And then finally you would export I was like, why am I deporting somebody? Const twig or smart trim equals probably twig with passing in data. And that's ultimately what a storybook is. I think if you ran this, it would work something harsh, but that's what it would be. And then you would have your storybook configuration look for all the .story.js files inside your components folder, and then it would render them all. And that's pretty much how that works. Let's see. The Gray Muzzle site. The Gray Muzzle is a site that I work on for, it's a nonprofit that raises money for older dogs. And the theme itself uses Storybook. So, and then its components, but this is based on Emulsify. It's not using single directory components yet. But, and then so here I have all the base atoms and organisms and molecules, and then I build the pages based on that. Storybook goes through, all these folders and to look for the stories. And let's see if I can remember the URL. Should be Gray Muzzle 9. I can't remember what it was.
Page.
Yeah. So you could actually no, that's not it either. Wait, is that it? There it is. You can actually publish it to GitHub pages, and then it shows off each of the different ones that's on there, the color palette and all that stuff. You're familiar with Storybook. So anyway, we got drinking to do. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, DrupalCamp, Colorado, for having me, and peace out.